In this next part, arrays are going to start getting a lot more fun, because even though arrays are great for storing data, the real value in using arrays is manipulating that data once it's in the array. So in this next section, what we're going to do is look at some functions that will allow us to work with arrays in some unique way. Go ahead and jump to your resource pack directory and open up the 11th step, which is called Array Function Examples. Again, these are in the Strings and Variables folder. Go ahead and copy the entire code and paste it over the code that's currently in your test.php file and save it. Okay, at the very top of this file is a link to the array functions in PHP. If we go ahead and navigate to this, you'll see that this is a list of all the array functions. Now, at some point, it would be a good idea to simply read through this list so you get a sense of all of the utilities that exist inside of PHP by default that you can work with. We're going to explore just a few of these, and then as the examples progress in this series, we'll use more and more of them. I'm going to go ahead and close this tab and jump back to the editor. So our first line here is a simple associative array that we used before. We're calling it associative array, that's the name of the variable, and we're assigning it an array. Each item has a key of a name of an individual, and the value is the date of their birth. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this first example. I'm going to uncomment out these two lines underneath this comment here. In this example, we're using a function called asort, and what this will do is sort an associative array by the value in order. It will automatically sense the type of value it is and order it accordingly. So for example, our values here are integers, so it will order it with the lowest number first. If these were characters of a string, it would sort it alphabetically. And then what we're doing is using a var dump in order to explore the values of the array and see if the sorting worked. I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and I'm going to jump back to the browser and refresh my test.php file. I'm going to look at the source code so we can see a nicely formatted version of this array. So you see that our first item is Deepak, and his birth date was 1969. The next birthday is 1973, and the next one is 1982. So our ordering worked properly. Now this can really come in handy if you have a set of data and you want the end user to be able to sort that data according to some criteria. In this case, it's by birth date ascending, but we could also do the reverse. We can also sort by the key, and that's what we're going to do in the next example. I'm going to go ahead and close this source code view and jump back to the editor, and I'm going to uncomment out the second example here. In this example, we're using a function called ksort. Now this is short for key sort, and this will sort the associative array according to key. Now our keys are strings, so it will sort this alphabetically, so we should expect to see Deepak first, then George, and then Sally. Let's go ahead and save this and jump back to the browser and refresh and look at the source code. So we have the result from our first sorting here, and then from our key sorting here. So we see Deepak show up first, we see George show up next, and then Sally. So this is working right. And again, the usefulness here is if we want to take data that's not necessarily in a particular order and sort it according to key. All right, let's go ahead and close this and jump back to the editor, and let's uncomment out this next example, the third one. In this example, what we're doing is using the arrayrand function, which is short for array random, and what this will do is take an array and it will pull out a single item in that array at random. So we won't know if it'll pull out George, Sally, or Deepak each time. Let's go ahead and save this and jump back to the browser and refresh, and let's look at the source code here. So here at the end is where we're displaying that random item. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this, and you see that it changed to George. I'm going to refresh it again. It changed back to Deepak. And this will continue to display random results from this array. Now, it's probably clear where the value is in this type of function. We can use it in order to pick a random winner for a raffle, for example. We can use it to create a dice game in order to show a particular number on a die. We can use it for all kinds of things. And we're going to use this function later on in order to create a random text generator, which will be kind of fun. I'm going to go ahead and close the source code and jump back to the editor. And let's go ahead and uncomment out this fourth example here. This example uses a function called arraypop. What arraypop does is it takes the last item off the end of an array. So in our last function where we sorted the array, we sorted it by key. So we'll see Deepak, George, and Sally in order. And so what this arraypop will do is take the last item off, which will be Sally, and it'll leave just Deepak and George. Notice one more thing, which is that arraypop is running on associative array, and we're not returning any value from it. Arraypop will actually change the value of this array without having to reassign it back to the array. This is because arraypop will return that last item as the value if we wanted to use that. And that's probably a more common use case for arraypop. Let's go ahead and save this and jump back to the browser and refresh and look at the source code. So we see our last var dump is showing a 2-item array that includes Deepak and George, and Sally is completely gone here. Now again, the biggest value of arraypop is most likely that you're going to take the last part of an array and pull it into a separate variable, which is the return value from arraypop, and do something with that. What this means is that you can use a sorting function like asort or ksort in order to sort alphabetically or by number, and then pull out the maximum value or the minimum value using arraypop. Okay, I'm going to close this out and jump back to the editor, and let's take a look at this 5th item here. I'm going to go ahead and uncomment it out. And what we're doing here is using a function called count. What count will do is count the number of items inside of an array and return an integer that's equal to that amount. So as we're counting the associative array, after we do the array pop, we should see 2 items, and that will be assigned to the variable count. And then we're using var dump in order to display that variable on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and jump back to the browser and refresh and look at the source code here. And at the very end, we see our var dump showing an integer number 2. The function count is particularly useful when we're taking an array and performing some type of action on it in order to filter out some of the data, and then we want to know exactly how many are left or how many belong to some subset of data. And you'll see us using this in future examples throughout the series. Now again, these are just a few of the array functions that are probably the most common ones that you'll end up using, although we're going to use several others in the examples from here on out.